How's it going? My name's Bhaskar, and I'm here to talk about the police and protest rights. Boo. So yeah, I'm a human rights lawyer specializing in actions against the police, which means I sue cops for a living, for yeah, for fuck the police in a professional capacity. Yeah, as it were. Yeah, so I've got, as you can tell from the topic, I've got a particular interest in protest rights, just from my own experiences. As a kid, I've been stopped, searched, arrested at protests. Friends of mine who've been arrested at protests. And yeah, I'm also also interested in systemic racism and how this plays into protesting. I'm not going to get into systemic racism right now because that's a whole other thing. But the statistics at the moment are quite dire. Systemic racism in the Metropolitan Police, the highest it's been in 20 years. If you're a black or brown man, you're 10 times more likely to be stopped and searched. But in the protest setting where you can be stopped and searched without any suspicion, that goes up to 43 times. So it's pretty nuts. So we've been pretty busy in the last 2 years because of COVID and how it's interacted with protest work, but also in the last year all the stuff around the Kill the Bill protests, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. The bill which we're trying to kill, which is the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Act. Now, sadly, the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Act is law right now. It just became law in April last year, despite a year of people fighting it on the streets and in Parliament. Yeah. And what it does is it gives police very wide-ranging and very vaguely defined powers to impose conditions on protests and public processions that they deem seriously disruptive. Disruption that's defined as noise generated by a procession that may have an impact on persons and cause serious unease, alarm, or distress. So the police can basically shut down any kind of public procession which they deem is disruptive and causes distress. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're shutting down disruptive protests, you're kind of not understanding the point of a protest, which is precisely to disrupt. Every effective protest in the last decade, whether it's in relation to fracking, expansions of airport runaways, deportations of immigrants, or picketing outside a company headquarters has succeeded because they've been able to kind of disrupt the activities of their targets. Now, a company could just go to the police and say, these guys are disrupting our activities, and that gives the police powers to impose kind of conditions on the protest. Why this is important is because now it's also created a new criminal offense of knowingly breaching a protest condition, punishable by law from a fine to up to imprisonment. They've also created new offenses of obstructing public highways, obviously in relation to Extinction Rebellion. And they've also created this broad, overarching offense, which is quite sinister. No one knows how to interpret it, but it's causing a serious public nuisance, which is punishable at law by up to 10 years. So some of the highest, strongest anti-protest laws in the Western world. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. I can freestyle it. It's not all. It's not all doom. It's not all doom and gloom. There was a massive, as you guys are all aware, there was a massive movement against this bill in Parliament and on the streets and among civil society organizations. It defeated provisions which would have created an offense of locking on. So they were trying to make locking on, which anybody who's done activism knows is like where you glue yourselves to gates or chain yourselves to runaways and so on. That was going to be a criminal offense, punishable by imprisonment. That's no longer the law. It was going to create something called serious disruption prevention orders or protest banning orders, where the police would basically identify activists and then basically impose restrictions on them from protesting in any future protests. That's gone. They were also going to create offences of interfering with national infrastructure, interfering with public roads, and that's all out of the way. And that's all happened through the works of like charities, academics, every people coming together and just saying, yeah, fuck the police, basically. We've got to be vigilant. The government are trying to bring all of these back under this new bill called the Public Order Bill. So like keep your ears peeled for that. Essentially, they're trying to have a second go of it. Already we have clocked that they're trying to do it, and so we're trying to, and there's already a lot of activism on the way. But yeah, the Public Order Bill, be vigilant against that. And if you guys want any information about organizations and charities which are like, like you're doing campaigns against this kind of stuff, come talk to me. I've got loads of papers. And yeah, that's it for that. Yeah, papers. I've got them if you need them. But yeah, the next on is Plastics. They're from Bristol and they're pretty fucking sound. Yeah, sound.